Originali.
Eccoci arrivati alla terza settimana di programmazione di Lingue Originali e in particolare quest'oggi al terzo appuntamento con la lingua inglese e in compagnia di Marco Piovaz, docente di lingue a Torino e appassionato di cultura britannica. Insieme a Marco Piovaz stiamo ascoltando A Chip in the Sugar, monologo di Alan Bennett. Alan Bennett, di cui oggi voglio svelarvi qualcosa in più. È nato a Leeds, in Inghilterra, è figlio di un macellaio, ha raggiunto brillanti risultati nel suo corso di studi ed è stato docente di storia medievale nello stesso ateneo dove ha conseguito la laurea, ovvero l'Exeter College di Oxford. Il teatro però si è rivelata molto presto la sua passione ed è anche sceneggiatore. È stato candidato all'Oscar per la sua migliore sceneggiatura non originale per il film La pazzia di Re Giorgio, questo nel 1995. E allora, con Marco Piovaz, continuiamo l'ascolto di A Chip in the Sugar di Alan Bennett. Buon ascolto.
Now, the cafe we generally patronize is just that bit different. It's plain, but it's classy. No clothes on the tables. The menu comes on a little slate, and the waitresses wear their own clothes and look as if they're doing it just for the fun of it. The stuff's all homemade, and we're both big fans of the date and walnut bread. I said, "This is the place." Mr. Turnbull goes straight past. "No," he says, "I know somewhere just opened. Press on." Now, if there's one thing Mother and me are agreed on, it's that red is a common colour. And the whole place is done out in red. Lampshades red, waitresses in red, plates red, and on the tables those plastic things got up to look like tomatoes, also red. And when I look, there's a chip in the sugar. I thought, Mother won't like this. "Oh," she says, "this looks cheerful, doesn't it, Graham?" I said, "There's a chip in the sugar." "A detail," he says. "They're still having the teething troubles. Is it 3 coffees?" I said, "We like tea." Only Mother says, "No, I feel like an adventure. I'll have coffee." He gets hold of the menu and puts his hand on hers. "Might I suggest," he says, "a cheeseburger?" She said, "Oh, what's that?" He said, "It's fresh country beef, mingled with golden fried onions, topped off with toasted cheese, served with French fries and lemon wedge." "Oh, lemon wedge," said Mother, "that sounds nice." I thought, well, I hope you can keep it down, because it'll be the pizza story all over again. One mouthful, and at 4 o'clock in the morning I was still stuck at her bedside with a bucket. She said, "I like new experiences in eating. I had a pizza once, didn't I, Graham?" I didn't say anything. They fetch the food, and she's wiring in. He said, "Are you enjoying your cheeseburger?" She said, "I am. Would I be mistaken in thinking that's tomato sauce?" He said, "It is." She says, "Give us a squirt." They both burst out laughing. He said, "Glass cups, Graham. Be careful or we'll see up your nose." More laughter. She said, "Graham's quite refined. He often has a dry sherry." "Well, he could do with smartening up a bit," Mr. Turnbull said. "Plastic Mac. He wants one of these quilted jobs. I've shifted a lot of those." "I don't like those quilted jobs," I said. "He's wets," Mother said. "There's no excuse for that in this day and age," Mr. Turnbull said. "The range of preparations there are on the market. You want to invest in some roll-on deodorant." Everybody could hear. And flares are anathema even in Bradford. "Grams doesn't care, do you, Gram?" Mother said. "He reads a lot." "So what?" Mr. Turnbull said. "I know several big readers who still manage to be men about town. Lovett Green's a nice shade." "I tell you this, Gram," he said. "If I were squiring a young lady like this around town, I wouldn't do it in grey socks and sandals. These shoes are Italian. Feel." "I always think Graham would have made a good parson," Mother said, feeling his foot. "Only he doesn't believe in God." "That's no handicap these days," Mr. Turnbull said. "What do you do?" "He's in between jobs at present," Mother said. "He used to do soft toys for handicapped children. Then he was making paper flowers at one stage." I went to the toilet. When I came back, he said, "I don't believe in mental illness. 9 times out of 10, it's a case of pulling your socks up." I didn't say anything. Mother said, "Yes, well, I think the pendulum's gone too far." She didn't look at me. "It's like these girls not eating," he said. "They'd eat if they'd been brought up like us, Vera. Nothing to eat." "That's right," Mother said. "They have it too easy." "Did you marry?" "Twice," he said. "I buried Amy last May. I was heartbroken, but life has to go on. I've a son, lives in Stevenage. I've got 2 grandsons, one at the motorbike stage. Do you drive?" "No," I said. "You do," Mother said. "You had that scooter." "It was only a moped," I said. "Well, a moped, Graham, they're all the same. I can't get him to blow his own trumpet." "I've got a Rover 2000, Mr. Turnbull said. Handles like a dream." "I think the solution to mental illness is hard physical work. Making raffia mats, I'd go mad." "Yes," says Mother, "only they do pottery as well. I've seen some nice ashtrays." "Feather bedding," Mr. Turnbull said. "Do you like these Pakistanis?" "Well, in moderation," Mother said. "We have a nice agent. Grams thinks we're all the same." I said, "I thought you did." She said, "Well, I do when you explain it all to me, Graham, but then I forget the explanation and I'm back to square one." "There is no explanation," Mr. Turnbull said. "They sell mangoes in our post office. What explanation is there for that?" "I know," Mother said. "I smelled curry on my woman's own. You have to be educated to understand." I didn't say anything. He ran us home, promised to give her a tinkle next time he was in the neighbourhood. Said he was often round here, tracking down 2-tone cardigans. "Your mother's a grand woman," he said. "You want to cherish her." He does, Mother said. "You're my boyfriend, aren't you, Graham?" She put her arm through mine. There must be a famine on somewhere, because we were just letting our midday meal go down when the vicar calls with some envelopes. Breezes in, anorak and running shoes, and he says, "I've always looked forward to coming to this house, Mrs. Whittaker." He's got the idea he's deaf, which he is not. It's one of the few things she isn't. He says, "Do you know why? It's because you two remind me of Jesus and his mother." Well, I've always thought Jesus was a bit offhand with his mother, and on one occasion I remember he was quite snotty with her, but I didn't say anything. And of course Madam is over the moon. In her book, if you can't get compared with the Queen Mother, the Virgin Mary's the next best thing. She says, "Are you married?" She asks him every time, never remembers. He said, "No, Mrs. Whittaker, I am married to God." She says, "Where does that leave you with the housework?" He said, "Well, I don't do as well as your Graham. He's got this place like a palace." She says, "Well, I do my work. I washed 4 pairs of stockings this morning." She hadn't. She put them in the bowl. Then they slipped her mind, so the rest of the operation devolved on me. He said, "How are you today, Mrs. Whittaker?" She says, "Stiffed on one side." I said, "She had a fall yesterday." She says, "I never did." I said, "You did, Mother. You had a fall, then you ran into Mr. Turnbull." She says, "That's right, I did." And she starts rooting in her bag for her lipstick. She says, "That's one of them Manuraki things, isn't it? They've gone out now, those. If you want to look like a man about town, you want to get one of those continental quilts." He said, "Oh?" I said, "She means those quilted jackets." She said, "He knows what I mean. Where did you get those shoes?" He said, "They're training shoes." She said, "Training for what? Are you not fully qualified?" He said, "If Jesus were alive today, Mrs. Whittaker, I think you'd find these were the type of shoes he would be wearing. Not if his mother had anything to do with it," she said. "She'd have him down Stead and Simpson's and get him into some good brogues. Somebody was telling me the Italians make good shoes." The vicar takes this as a cue to start on about people who have no shoes at all, and via this to the famine in Ethiopia. I fork out 50p, which he says will fit 6 families for a week, and she says, "Well, it would have bought me some Quality Street." When he's at the door, he says, "I take my hat off you, Graham. I've got a mother myself." When I get back, she said, "Vicar, he looked more like the paper boy. How can you look up to somebody in pumps?" Just then, there's a knock at the door. "Get down," she says, "he's back." Only it isn't. It's Mr. Turnbull. New outfit this time, little suede coat, corduroy colour, maroon trousers. She says, "You're colourful." "We just happen to have these slacks on offer," he says. "I was wondering whether you fancied a run out to Bolton Abbey." "Bolton Abbey," she says. "Oh, that's right up our street, isn't it, Graham?" Graham's good with buildings, aren't you, Graham? He knows all the periods of the houses. There's one period that's just come in. Other people don't like it yet, but we do, don't we, Graham? "I don't know," I said. "You do? What is it?" "Victorian," I said. "That's it, Victorian. Only there's a lot been pulled down." Mr. Turnbull yawns. "I've got a little bungalow." "That's nice," Mother said. "I like a nice bungalow, don't you, Graham?" "Yes," I said, "provided it's not a blot on the landscape." "Mine's architect design," says Mr. Turnbull. "It has a patio and a breakfast bar. It overlooks a beauty spot." "Oh," Mother said, "sounds tip-top. We'd better be getting our skates on, Graham." He said, "I've got to pick up a load of green 3/4 length wind cheaters in Ilkley. There won't really be room for a third party. Isn't there anything on at the pictures?" "Oh, he'll be happy reading," Mother said. "Won't you, Graham?" "Anyway," Mr. Turnbull said, "you don't always want to be with your mother at your age, do you, Graham?" I didn't say anything. I've been laid on my bed reading one of my magazines. I've a feeling that somebody's looking at the house, only I can't see anybody. Once or twice I think I've heard a knock on the door, but I haven't gone, in case there's nobody there.
Lingue originali.